right, welcome to the podcast. I'm hanging out with Derek Hovinga. I pronounced that correctly,
Yeah, you
right?
said it perfectly. Yeah,
I love
Not
it.
a lot of people do.
Okay, founder of the Inbound Lab. Let's just start with that. What is that?
Sure. So I'm a sole proprietor. I work on my own. And basically what I do is I'm a marketing consultant for B2B tech companies,
Okay.
mostly around the startup space, especially in Calgary, where we are right now.
Yeah.
Just because I really like giving back to the community. I love the ecosystem here. And I really like the idea of helping problem solvers solve problems, their problems, which is ironic. I help B2B tech founders with, one, I can help validate their ideas using content marketing, creating MVPs. I can help them get funding, kind of like funding enablement stuff, where I help them build decks to help them tell their story and figure out what their ideal customer profiles, business solutions are needed. And then I actually help them with their marketing as well. So basically help them generate leads, nurture those leads, get customers, obviously, and hopefully advocate for those customers as well. And then another part of that is I call it sales enablement, which is basically creating marketing collateral for things where, let's say a salesperson lets me on a sales call to be a fly on the wall, and we hear all these objections or concerns about this product they're trying to sell to them. And those objections, I'll create content for it so that they already have those answers in their back pocket. So that's sales enablement content. So basically the full funnel, quote unquote, full funnel of marketing I do for B2B tech companies exclusively.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you kind of have this interesting, I'm always curious how people get to where they are.
Yeah.
And for you, I was interested reading your bio. So going back kind of probably a while ago, starting in construction. And so you said something like, I got tired of being in construction. So you kind of evolved your career. So let's just start at the beginning. I'm curious how you got into what you do.
Yeah, sure. Oh, okay. I could start from the very beginning if you want.
Sure,
from
let's
high school
do that.
if you want. So, high school, I was a freestyle wrestler.
Okay.
And a football player and a rugby player. Did a little bit of boxing, but that actually came later in my life. But in freestyle wrestling, I had a scholarship offered to me to go to Spokane University.
Okay.
I had scouts come. And I grew up in an immigrant household, single mother, Indonesian. And she didn't really understand what the scholarship was, and she was worried that it was going to cost a lot of money.
Right.
Which is hilarious because it was full ride. Like, I would have just moved to Spokane, lived in a dorm, wrestled, and gone to school. I also didn't really understand it either.
Right.
To be quite frank, I was never good at school.
Right.
I was good at wrestling.
Yeah.
That was like my thing. I remember one time, actually, I was running out of credits, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to kick you off the football team if you don't get these credits in, because you're not going to graduate." So in doing so, I had to pick another course, and the only course that was left was cosmetology class, which is like hair and makeup.
Yeah. I have sisters, so I was their guinea pig when I was a kid. Yeah.
Oh, I was the guinea pig in the class, and
Nice.
it was the best. Like, I loved girls at the time. I mean, I still do, but like getting scalp massages every day and hanging out with the girls and stuff. It was an amazing way to get my credits.
Yeah.
So I could stay on the football team. But I digress. So back to this wrestling thing. So I wanted to go to college, but my mom said, "Hey, I feel like you should work with your uncle who worked in construction." And I said, "Oh, okay," because I have no idea what I'm supposed to do anyways. Even speaking to guidance counselors in school, I still didn't understand. So I after I graduated high school, I went into construction with my uncle, and I actually really liked it. And I think I really liked the money-making aspect of it, especially as a young kid.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was 17 and then going on to 18. And then I started really liking using my hands. So I just kept going with it. I got my carpentry ticket eventually, like in no time. Like I think it was like 2 years. I went from like, thankfully I had my uncle to kind of like sped me through it. But I went from like basically just hauling garbage in the first year to basically managing construction crews.
Nice.
So I worked in kind of like fire and flood restoration and renovations. So I would basically demolish homes or businesses that were damaged by fires and floods, and then I would restore them. So I'd rebuild them. And then it's around 2004. I was like, oh, getting like really tired here. This is a lot of work. And I'm like young, and I've had to fire crews before, and then hire people and try to trust them. I used to drive my truck to Cash Corner.
Yeah.
You remember Cash Corner?
Yeah, it was just on like 12th and
exactly.
1st or something like that, right? Yeah.
I used to do that as a young kid and just like, hey, anybody want to work? And then people would just like hop in the back of my truck, like in the extended cab, not in the actual back of the truck, not in like the...
Maybe sometimes.
Yeah, not in the bed of the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the dead of winter. And then we'd do that. And it was just like getting so hard. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go take a vacation. I've never been out of the country before. So I flew to Thailand around Christmas time. Boxing Day happened. And while I was in Thailand, this giant tsunami hit.
Oh, wow. Was that like, that was the tsunami?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was that big one.
Holy shit.
Luckily, I was in an area that didn't really
higher ground
hit by it. Yeah. I remember just like the next morning, somebody knocking on my hut, because they were like little huts. And I opened the door, and this guy goes, hey, yeah, you have to evacuate the island. I'm like, oh, what? What happened? Well, there was a tsunami and an earthquake. I'm like, oh, geez. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so I'll get my stuff. Where am I going? How am I getting there? And they're like, okay, we got to get you to Koh Samui, and then you got to fly to Singapore. And I said, okay, how am I getting there? And they're like, you're going on a boat. And I'm like, wait, wasn't there just a tsunami? Yeah. Why would you put me on a boat? I thought a helicopter was coming or something. No, it was like an 8-hour boat ride. There's like chickens at my feet and so on and so forth. And then while waiting at the airport, I finally got to Koh Samui in 8 hours. While waiting at the airport for my flight to Singapore, I was like thinking, I kind of had like this grand realization, I guess, an epiphany, so to speak, where I was like, oh, what am I doing with my life? Like, gosh, I never wanted to work construction. I wanted to be a wrestler, eventually a professional wrestler like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Nice.
And that was a dream that just never happened. And I said, yeah, I'm going to think about doing other things. So I still did construction because, again, I didn't really know how to get enrolled into school and stuff like that. I DJ'd on the side as well, so I really love music, and I thought, oh, maybe I could, do something with music. Eventually, I would move to Vancouver to enroll in this course. It was called, it was an audio engineering and music production course.
Yeah.
Out of Pacific Audiovisual Institute, which no longer exists actually anymore. And I interned at a recording studio called Blue Wave Studios for free. Mm-hmm. I basically got free lunch. And on the side, I would do construction projects in Vancouver. But what I really liked about it was there's one course where we were doing audio for film.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So I kind of said, okay, well, I'm going to move back to Calgary, actually for a girl. This is a common theme. I do a lot of things for women, apparently. So I moved back to Calgary because I was in a long-distance relationship, went back to construction while also trying to find a job in audio for video. So there's some companies in Calgary here. There's like an Ear Candy, great people that I've worked with in my marketing career. 6 Degree Studios, awesome recording studio that does a lot of, they do like the Emmys and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So I tried to get jobs with them and it wasn't working. And I was like, okay, I got to figure out something else. So I enrolled into broadcasting at Mount Royal, where I got into kind of radio, like television commercial type of stuff. Really enjoyed it. I eventually somehow landed a job at a radio station on the morning show as like a morning show producer.
Okay.
The radio station was called Cool 101.5. Hits
like,
from today and back in the day.
Here in town?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
Which was surprising that I got it. But
why? Sorry, why was that surprising to you? Like, what were you? What? Why did they hire you?
Well, because initially I wanted to record commercials,
Right.
but then they're like, no, we want to put you on air, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I don't like this isn't what.
But
I
you have a
do.
pretty good personality. Like, did you find it? Did it come naturally to you?
Yeah, because I didn't know I was pretty shy. Like I was just like a blue collared kid who just wanted to find a new career.
Right.
Yeah, so I was surprised that they would be like, hey, we'd like to offer you this job for pennies, basically.
Yeah.
I may as well just been interning in Vancouver again, for the most part. So again, I work construction on the side. So I'd work, I think it was like 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the radio, and then, or 5 a.m. till 9 a.m. on the radio. And then I'd have 2 hours to do some, administration stuff for the job. And then I would work construction jobs until 6 p.m. So it was a long day.
Yeah.
And then eventually I would get a job at a video agency in town where I learned a lot about video. And one of the parts about the video company was that and they did a lot of corporate video. So internal communications, basically all the videos that we did were only internal facing. And I started to look at the budgets. I'm like, wow, this oil and gas company is spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars on these videos that are never going to see the light of day.
Wow.
They're just going to be seen by, I don't know, the 100 staff members they have at this company, right? So I thought, you know what? I'd love to, figure out like a strategy department for this company, like being able to kind of leverage the video assets that we're creating so that they get the most bang for their buck. So myself and this other person, we kind of started the strategy department at this company, which was awesome. I started to get a little bit into kind of like website management as well.
Yeah.
Project management. I was kind of getting my fingers in a lot of things just because that's what I like to do. And then eventually I'd get recruited over to an agency in town here. Yeah, you actually know him. His name's Peter Bishop.
Yeah, yeah.
They brought me into ZGM marketing. And it was there where I kind of realized that they sent me to this conference in Boston called Inbound. And I really enjoyed kind of the problem solving aspect of business.
Right.
And a lot of the marketing that I do is problem solving, which is kind of nice. So I fell into this marketing role where I'm trying to, help create awareness around brands or help educate buyers so that they make informed decisions around large purchases. So this could be around from like a business to consumer standpoint. It could be around buying a house, because that's probably the most expensive purchase or the biggest purchase of your life, to business, B2B, where it's folks who are just trying to learn how to solve a business problem that they have. And there might be a piece of technology that might solve that business problem for them, or a service that might solve that business problem for them. So I really enjoyed that. And then during the pandemic, a lot of paid advertising clients were starting to reallocate their marketing dollars to my department. And I was basically the only person in the department. So I was like, hey, there might be a need here.
Yeah.
So I decided to give my 4-month notice to my boss and say, hey, yeah, I think I might go on my own. So I went out on my own, remembering things from my construction days where I'd be, leading teams and running crews and doing paperwork, a lot of payroll and admin and stuff like that. Since then I've been doing it. I've been like kind of niching my services towards specific places. So basically I was like industry agnostic for a long time. And then last year I said, you know what? I love the startup space. So I'm going to work for tech companies exclusively. So that's what I do now. So hanging out at Platform Calgary all the time, going to all the events, showing up on LinkedIn constantly, because that's what everybody does in the ecosystem, which is a lot of fun. But that's basically the short version of my story.
I love it. So in the back of your mind, did you always want to be an entrepreneur, or is that something that kind of just came out of your experience?
I think it's something that just came out of my experience.
Yeah.
I've been told many times that I have kind of like an entrepreneur mindset.
Right.
I'm always wanting to, not necessarily do things on my own, but I've always wanted to optimize on things.
Right.
So
you see opportunities and
yeah,
things
exactly.
based on what you told me. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So, if I see an opportunity, I want to try to get on that.
Yeah.
Whatever that might be. I'm not like a get rich quick type of person.
Right.
Which I think could be a detriment to me sometimes because, I see people who, run their own businesses and they're like, oh yeah, we pulled like $2.5 million in revenue this year and we're a part of the EO group. And I'm like, I never want that. I just want to have a great life.
Yeah.
Where I can just, go to the gym at 6 a.m. and then not take any meetings until 9:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, stop working at around 4 or 5.
Yeah. Which is nice to be able to kind of determine your own lifestyle in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love it. And,
so you'd be adverse to pulling in $2.5 million on a project?
Okay. Don't get me wrong here.
Yeah. And then you said that you decided to go exclusively into the tech. What drew you, what brought you to that decision?
Yeah. The people,
for
the most part. The folks that I've met, I've been in several different professional communities, right? Like construction community is a lot different from, the white collar community that I was working in the marketing and agency community. What I loved about the tech community is everyone's very supportive of each other. Not saying the other ones aren't, but they're very supportive of each other. The goal for every tech founder is they're trying to solve a problem for someone,
right?
Which I find nice. Like you don't have a product unless it solves a problem,
right?
That's it, right? So I love that mentality. The people are nice. There's a lot of events happening. There's people who are just going rogue, running their own events, and I love that. I love connecting with people.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And I think there's some sort of sophistication or complexities that I enjoy trying to, figure out and maybe dumb down for lack of better words, which I really enjoy as well from a tech standpoint.
Yeah. So you said something that I think is really interesting, which is part of the way you've curated your lifestyle, waking up in the morning, going to the gym. For me, and we were talking about this earlier, being an entrepreneur, part of, I think what attracts people to the lifestyle is there's this perceived lack of, I don't want to say responsibility, but there's, I guess, lack of structure, right? Like a lot of people that are entrepreneurs or own their own businesses, they start out not wanting to be kind of told like, okay, show up at this time and you have to leave at this time. So they like the freedom of being an entrepreneur. But I think where people often fail is like that freedom is like all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I don't have to do anything ever. And so you kind of, what I see is successful entrepreneurs kind of end up imposing their own structure onto themselves. Is that what you found yourself doing?
Yeah, for sure. When I first started, like even during my 4-month notice, I was like, okay, how do entrepreneurs do things? And I'd like Google it. I'd go on TikTok or Instagram or whatever and see how other entrepreneurs were doing it. They're like waking up at 4 a.m., taking a cold shower, going for like an hour run, journaling, all that crap, which, I tried to do. And I was just like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is not fun at all. And then I started to realize like, now I'm waking up at like 9:30, working till 9:30 p.m. And I realized, oh yeah, I gotta have some sort of routine of some sort. I guess I'm privileged enough not to have, kids or anything that I'm responsible for. Which sounds
I hope my kids don't listen to this.
Which sounds funny. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have a dog, and that's about it. That's like my one responsibility where I have to wake up in the morning for. So my goal usually I'd say 5 to 6 days a week is to wake up at around 5:30, 6 a.m. and go to the gym. And I'll be there for like 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. I go to this gym, MNP, which is like that big dome down on McLeod Trail. And they have like a steam room and a cold pool and a hot tub and stuff like that. So I'll do like an hour of weight training, sometimes 30 minutes to an hour of circuit training. chat with the community because I've built a kind of a community out there now, of course. And then I'll do like a steam room and a cold plunge or whatever.
Right.
And it's a great way to just start my day.
Totally.
Which is great. But yeah, one of my non-negotiables is that I don't take meetings before 9:30 because I don't want to, get home at 8 and then have to like rush to like get ready for this meeting. I want to like make sure I have like a good breakfast after, be able to shower so I look decent afterwards and smell decent. And then I just go about my day. I love the Pomodoro technique, if you know what that is.
No, I do not.
Pomodoro technique is like you set up a certain amount of time. So there's an app or kind of like a website, Pomodoro. And basically I just put, 25 minutes is just nonstop work. And then 5 minutes I'll take a break. And whatever that might be, really big into this game called GeoGuessr right now. So I go on my phone and I look at Google Map images and I try to guess what the location is. It's really funny. And then I'll do 25 minutes of work again. So, and then so on and so forth. That's kind of my thing. And then
I like
5
that.
meetings and stuff like that. It obviously changes, but
yeah.
But yeah, I really try to structure my days in that way. I try not to work on the weekends, but obviously that's just sometimes impossible as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Sundays while watching football or whatever, I'll whip my laptop out and try to catch up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sometimes it's just easier to just do the work because it's on your brain anyway. It's like, hey, let me just get this out of the way. So, but I really like that. One of the things you had talked about in your notes, the connection for you between, like doing something physical, so going to the gym, and kind of the mental benefit of doing that too. Yeah. What was the quote? It's and one of the things that you said is it's about showing up for myself. So, maybe talk about that. Like, what is the connection for you in terms of like doing that physical stuff, and what does it's about showing up for myself? What does that mean?
Right. Well, we go back to my high school days where I grew up an athlete, basically, and then. Over the years, I gained some weight. I really enjoyed booze. No offense to Alberta Beer Fest, but God, I love beer.
I love beer too. That's why it's like I always talk about the habits and stuff, right? Because you have to have like those positive habits so you can enjoy other things.
Yeah. But, I drink like, 10 beers in one night, and then I'd order a large pizza, and then I'd fall asleep with like
so you blame the beer, but really it's the pizza.
It's me. Yeah. I'm not blaming the beer. I'm blaming me. Yeah. So there's actually a bit more of a story there, but and the story involves divorce.
Okay.
Where my ex-wife, she actually left me for someone else.
Okay.
So that really affected me from a kind of like a confidence standpoint.
Totally, yeah.
And that's kind of where the showing up for myself started to kick in. Where I'm just like, okay, I gotta like do something here. Not because I think she left me because this guy's better looking or whatever.
Yeah. Or
he's more fit or whatever. I don't even know what this guy looks like.
Right.
But I just started to think like, hey, yeah, like I'm not caring for myself anymore. One, I'm feeling sorry for myself at the time. This was 8 years ago. And two, I'm just not caring for myself. I'm just like, I'm, sleeping in until 8, got to go to work, be at work at 8:30. And then just do my thing, not think about what I'm consuming inside my body, not think about what I'm consuming inside my mind, stuff like that. So the gym in the morning for me is a great way to start my day off positive. One, it's getting up and doing it. Two, there's some goals I want to hit, right? Like, your personal bests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
PRs and so forth. I love that. That brings out the competitiveness in me. I play a little bit of basketball, but I don't play any competitive sports for the most part. Right. So this is a great way to be at competition with myself, which is awesome. And then also just, like I mentioned about connecting with people, I find the gym to be a great place to connect with people. Like seeing Stan, who's like a 6-year-old man who was overweight when I saw him 2 years ago at the gym. And now I'm looking at him and he's like balancing on like a Bosu ball with one leg and like doing shoulder presses. I'm like, geez, Stan, this is incredible. Like, it's
That's
awesome to see the accomplishments that others have done. And
Totally.
then vice versa, they'll see the accomplishments that I've
Yeah.
had within that gym as well. And then, and then we just have this community of, I guess, supportive people that
Right.
we would have never had met unless we were working out and struggling together, basically.
Totally. Do you never see News Bob there? Do you know who News Bob is?
I don't know.
I'll introduce you. You have a similar personality, very outgoing. So you'll see him there every now and again for sure.
Interesting.
One of the things that struck me as you were kind of explaining that is, waking up and doing something intentional. So going to the gym, to me, it's about being, proactive versus reactive. And one of the things that I found myself doing for years before I started really imposing, easy things, easy habits so that I have a daily structure, was I found myself just reacting to whatever was happening when I woke up. So I was using my phone as my alarm clock, so that I'm instantly on Instagram, I'm scrolling, I'm looking at the news going. So by the time I even get out of bed, I feel like shit because the world is always coming to an end according to my algorithm. I've done 20 minutes of Instagram already. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? So I think, what you're describing is you're kind of taking on the day on your own terms versus letting the day come to you. And I think that's a really important way to start the day.
I agree. That phone thing, I recently got this alarm clock. It's one of those sunset alarms where 10 minutes before the alarm goes off, it starts to light up slowly. So it feels like there's a sunset.
What's that called? I'd like to get something like that because I bought an old school alarm clock and it's so annoying.
Oh yeah,
it's
I can send you a
I'm like, fuck.
This one's got hilarious, like it's got hilarious settings where you can get like white noise.
Yeah.
Where you can get like thunder showers and stuff like that. I don't use it because I'm like midway through the night, I'm like, oh God, turn this off. It's so loud.
Yeah.
But I think it's just called a sunrise alarm or something like that.
I like that.
I can look it up.
I'm gonna look it up.
Send you a link after.
Good old Google will help me with that.
Yeah, I bought off Amazon to be honest.
Yeah.
But then the other, so I leave my phone inside my bedside drawer, and I figure, and it's in no notification mode. I figure if you need me, I'll hear the phone ring. So I put it inside the bedside drawer because I don't want to look at it at all. And even when I wake up, I don't look at my phone. So I have this is going to sound very cheesy maybe, but I have a gratitude journal where I write 3 things I'm grateful for first thing in the morning, and then 3 things that I'm grateful for at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the journal will actually prompt me and it will say like, what could you have done better today? Which is like, I don't know. Like,
who are you
really
to ask
calling
me
me
that?
out? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like yelling at this paper.
Shame journal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But I find the gratitude piece being a great way to start the day too. So.
That's a good call. Yeah. I think that's important. One of the things that I have learned over the years is typically when I'm being like a mopey bitch, it's because I'm not practicing gratitude on any level. You know what I mean? And when you start realizing all the things that are going awesome in your life on a daily basis, it's like, oh, okay.
Oh man, it's easy to complain. Right? Like, I'm not trying to make your audience feel sorry for me, but like I grew up no dad, single family household.
Yeah.
Like I could complain about in a low income in Northeast Calgary. I can complain about a lot of things. But for me, I actually start to like kind of flip that on it a bit. I'm like, actually, if I didn't grow up like that, I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
Totally.
Work
very
ethic.
Tony Robbins of you.
I guess,
but it is true,
which is
though.
funny because I haven't listened to any Tony.
Yeah,
Robbins
no. But it's true. I mean, you have to look at it as, you get the benefit of having had that experience. Like you probably wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Yeah.
But it made you who you are, right? So
that's true.
You can totally flip it on its head, and you're not in that space anymore. So I think that's cool. One of the things you also said was when you're at the gym is you're in competition with yourself. And I think that's a big thing. I think one of the things that I grew up with, I have a lot of siblings. A new one comes out of the woodworks every month. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
But no, it's, but I have 2 older brothers. And so we were very competitive growing up. And so I grew up with bringing that competitive mindset to basically everything that I did for a long time. And it really didn't serve me very well in a lot of situations, right? And so I have found, just like I'd say in that last 5-10 years, is really I'm almost always doing things where I'm in competition with myself. I never put myself in a situation where I feel that I'm competing with other people, and I really enjoy that, competing, comparing myself to past selves, I guess. How did you come to that realization of competition with yourself?
That's interesting. I guess it's a kind of like a growth mindset, quote unquote. Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I don't know. Has he said that stuff?
Oh, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
That guy said.
But I guess it's just like, you heard basically my career timeline, where I'm just like constantly changing things and growing and growing and growing. So I think for me, that competition for myself is that I can't be stagnant. I need to keep growing and growing and growing. Right. So I think that might be where it came from.
I like that.
Yeah.
So in other areas of your life, you had a podcast that you did with by yourself. For a while. What was that one called?
It was called the Inbound Lab Podcast Network,
okay.
And then I had 3 different podcasts for it. So one was called the Creator Cocktail Hour, which was basically me getting artists to come on to talk about their creative processes. The other one was called Marketing Monologue, which was basically me just repurposing my blog content.
Nice.
It's a great way to repurpose your content. And then the third one was the Client Side Podcast. So that was my favorite because it was kind of a lead generation tool for me. So I get folks who are founders, CEOs, marketing managers, who are basically my audience, to come on the podcast and talk about their experience working with different external creative firms.
Yeah.
So I get to listen to what they liked about working with them and what they disliked about working with them. And in turn, I get a lot of insight.
What not
like,
to do,
what to
okay,
do. I guess I shouldn't be doing that for X client.
Yeah.
Or this upcoming client, and so on and so forth. Or this is what these folks are looking for. Well, I should probably start kind of promoting myself in that way too.
Right.
So I really like that podcast. It was also another great way to connect with people. The gratitude piece, I used to, at the end of the podcast, I would ask them, hey, what are 3 things you're grateful for today? And sometimes it would take them forever to answer. I'm like, damn, I didn't realize that was like such a hard question. Yeah. Actually, it is. I'm going to ask you right now.
What am I grateful for?
Yeah. What are 3 things you're grateful for today?
So I'm grateful for, I have 2 kids. So you're grateful that you don't have kids. I'm grateful that I do
I didn't say I'm grateful. I said I'm privileged.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful for my kids because you see things through a different set of eyes when you have kids, and usually it's a more positive set of eyes, to be honest. I would say I'm grateful for the company that I'm, like Alberta Beer Festivals. I get to be part of a really cool community. And then I'm grateful for, so I have 2, my parents are still alive. I have a mom and a dad that are in their 80s. My dad just had his birthday the other day, and we went for lunch. So I'm grateful to have, good relationships with them. And, because having relationships with your parents, there's ups and downs to it, So it's nice that with, where they are in life, that we have, we spend good time together. Yeah. So those would be 3 off the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel?
How do I feel right now? Yeah. I feel good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm cool. Pretty open with saying that. Like I write a lot of, I try to write down every day my what I'm grateful for and stuff like that too. Yeah. So I think it becomes easier to say it the more you say it, you know what I mean? I probably don't say it to the people as much as I should. I was thinking about that the other day. That's a challenge I'm going to give myself. Actually, I have some cards that I bought. I'm going to write to people who have made big impacts in my life and explain to them why I'm grateful. Because I find a lot of times, one of my thoughts was with a gratitude journal is you're writing it to yourself, but the people that you're grateful for don't often know that you're grateful for what they've done. So I thought it would be nice to actually send them a note to say how they've impacted you. Yeah.
That's great. That makes people feel incredible. Makes you feel good writing it too.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Makes you feel like such a better person.
I'm
so much better than everybody for having done this. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, I like that. And then you're currently part of a podcast called Spotlight. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's the Calgary Marketing Association.
Okay.
So it's basically our way of within the marketing industry. One, so I work for the board, or the board hired me, but their mandate is to basically celebrate the work that's being done in Calgary. While also educating folks and showing the world that, hey, Calgary's got a lot of smart business people here.
Yeah.
So the podcast is really just about getting Calgary marketers on to talk about, share their insight, celebrate their work, talk about how they came up with these campaigns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's fairly new. I think we've only got like 2 episodes so far.
Yeah, sweet.
We just started this past month. So yeah,
awesome,
it's
man.
awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so you did mention that you are, this is a question just out of the blue, but you're a cocktail enthusiast.
Sure. Yeah.
So what's your favorite cocktail?
Yeah, I'm a Negroni
Are
snob.
you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's gin based, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, our mutual friend Peter and I have agreed that the best combo, and we figured this out during the pandemic from lots of experimenting with different combos, is are you allowed to say brands on this podcast?
Oh, yeah, you're allowed to say whatever you want.
So Tanqueray Gin, it's called Kochi Vermouth, and then Campari.
Yeah.
So that's like the ultimate Negroni.
Okay.
Yeah. During the pandemic, remember when you do those like trivia nights and stuff like that on Zoom calls?
Yeah.
I'd be pouring myself triples because I'm like, I can't miss out having to pour myself another drink.
Yeah.
That was brutal. But yeah, the Negroni is my favorite cocktail. It's simple, easy.
I'm not a big, I don't drink a lot of cocktails, but that's actually the one I landed on too. Because when I was saying to you before, typically we'd be in Jasper right now for our Jasper Festival. But we're not able to do it this year. But that's when I usually drink the cocktails, is when I'm in Jasper at JPL. And I experimented with a whole bunch of them, and that's the one I landed on. I'm like, this one is good.
It is. Yeah. I think maybe the bitterness kind of gives you like that, if you like beer a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Might give you a little bit. Yeah, I'm surprised. Might give you like that kind of like sense of like the beer or whatever, maybe.
I don't know what it is, but I find it like refreshing versus like, I know like old fashions and stuff, they can get like kind of heavy. You know what I mean? Where Negroni's like, there's a refreshing element to it. Yeah. Okay, you mentioned Peter a couple times, a mutual friend of ours. I'm always curious about people and their mentors. You described him as your mentor. I am also curious because you gave him 4 months notice, and I'm like, he seems like the only kind of guy that you could successfully do that with. Like most guys are like, no, we'll give you 2 weeks, dude, but you're not hanging out for 4 weeks. So maybe talk a little bit about his role in your career and why you consider him a mentor.
Oh, that's interesting. I think a lot of it goes, one, he's a smart business person. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But he's also very relaxed. He's easygoing. I think you and I talked about, like, there's some business people out there who just like talk 100 miles per minute, where he's just kind of chill. Sometimes you can feel overwhelmed by talking to a business person. Where I always feel like at ease when I talk to him.
Totally.
I can ask him a question about a certain, maybe certain problem that I'm having or whatever. And he'll always be like, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Or he'll like dig deeper into what that problem is. He's not just going to give you a solution. He's just going to be like, well, what's the actual problem? Right. It was kind of nice. And I think a lot of, unless you're a therapist, I think a lot of folks don't necessarily do that, which is kind of nice. He's not going to listen to this, is he? He's
God, no.
And I think,
want to pump his ego up too much. Yeah.
He's also super funny too, right? So, you like to hang out with people who have, similar interests, I guess we're compatible as friends. Yeah. Let alone mentors. I wouldn't even consider him my mentor, so to speak. Like, I call him my mentor. He doesn't really know it. Yeah. But he's definitely one of my best friends for sure. Yeah.
No, he's very, he has a unique cadence to him. And it's like, you can tell he's like really thoughtful. He's really listening when you're asking him questions, and he has like really unique, because oftentimes like when I'm talking to him about a situation, there's absolutely nothing in it for him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and he's just like, oh yeah, did you ever think of this? Or happy to connect whenever possible. So
totally.
yeah. Okay, so in your career right now, or in your life, I guess, not even career, but what kind of motivates you? So, you know, getting up in the morning with your sunrise alarm clock, what makes you kind of excited to take on a typical day?
I love connecting with people. Like, one things that I wrote in my gratitude book was that I was going to be meeting you for the first time today.
Nice.
Right? I was like, oh, it's
You'll
another
be
person.
Crossing that out. Be like,
yeah.
What could have
Yeah.
been
At the
done
end,
better?
what could I have done better?
Not
shown up. No. I love connecting with people. So, like I said, one of the parts about waking up so early to go to the gym is that there's so many people there that I've become friends with, or that I talk to. There are even people that I just, do one of those head nods to, right? Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, got our headphones on, can't even hear each other. Morning.
Yeah.
See the mouth moving. So I think human connection is certainly a big part of, I guess, what, gets me going throughout the day, which is hilarious because I work alone.
Yeah.
as a sole proprietor, but I do work out of a co-working space, which is kind of nice, another way to connect with people.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's fun. Like, entrepreneurship is actually fun. It can be stressful, but it's fun. It's fun to figure out, the problems you want to solve. It's great to create my own schedule and be like, oh, okay, I've got this list of tasks I got to do today. But when am I going to do them? How am I going to do them? And how am I going to order them throughout my day? Right. That Pomodoro technique has been super helpful for me in terms of that. Yeah, it's great. And then, it's Friday as we record this. Like, knowing that, at the end of the day here, I'll probably stop working at around 3, maybe. It's Friday.
Negroni time?
Yeah, it might be Negroni time at 3. Knowing that I've got like a weekend to, I'm playing in a pickleball tournament tomorrow, which I
where do you do that?
Pickleball.
At the gym there?
No, this is one for a company actually down the street here called Thin Air Labs. They're doing like a pickleball tournament with like the tech founders and stuff like that. Cool. And I was like, oh, I'll join. Don't know how to play pickleball, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm excited for like the activities that I have coming up throughout the day. Yeah. So that helps me keep going. And stuff like that. So
yeah, when you genuinely love what you do, it's easy to stay motivated. Hey,
it's true.
It's like waking up in the morning is like easy. I will tell you this: I was talking to a doctor, and they said that of all the people they see for injuries, pickleball is like,
oh really,
getting up there. Yeah.
Is it because of the age group that plays it?
Yeah, probably, probably. But you think about it too, right? Like even young people who play. Like, I have a nephew who started playing softball, and then he injured himself because he wasn't active, and then all of a sudden he's sprinting to first, and he's like, he hasn't sprinted in years. Yeah, so it's just a lot of people who are inactive, they start being active through pickleball, and their bodies are like, what the heck are you doing, man? Yeah.
And it's funny, too. I've played it once just to learn how to play it. Yeah. And it's not, like, when you play doubles, it's not crazy. Like, it's basically playing ping pong. Yeah. I think you run up, there's a thing called the kitchen, apparently. Yeah. Where you run up to the kitchen and then you stay there. And then you just stand there and go like this. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm just saying stretch before you start.
I'm going to. Yeah.
And then I used to ask people all the time what they were passionate about. I was corrected once, and it's like, not everyone has a passion, but everyone typically has a curiosity. So is there like a subject that you're leaning into more than other subjects right now?
Let me think here. You're going to laugh. So I mentioned earlier this GeoGuessr game.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking it was just mostly just like a Pokemon type game.
No.
Where you're like, no, okay.
It's geography.
Okay.
So I love to travel. And this GeoGuessr game, how it works is they'll throw on an image from Google Maps, and then you kind of have to look around the image, and then you go to the map and you figure out where on the map that image is. So pretty good at it. I'm on level 115. It's only been 2 weeks. Pretty damn
How
good.
many levels are there?
I have no idea. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been pretty hard.
Yeah.
Remember, one of the Google images, they put me in the back seat of a car, and I'm like, what? How am I supposed to figure this out? I'm like, kind of like moving around, and then I saw like a tree, and it looked like a palm tree at the corner of my eye. I'm like, okay, so this could be Florida, California. It could be like Asia. And I just picked Florida, and I got it.
Nice.
And it was like Orlando.
Nice.
Or, sorry, Miami. And I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm like really into geography right now, which is hilarious. So that's kind of a topic that I'm really passionate about. I love basketball. I'm really into, I don't know if you know too much about basketball, but there's like a big trade.
Yeah, my cousin sent me, and I'm like, I have no context of what. Like, I didn't even respond. I'm like, I don't know what this means.
Well, one team basically traded the best player in the league to another team for like nothing.
Did that guy go to LA or away from LA?
Went to LA from Dallas. Yeah. This guy was in the finals last year.
Yeah,
and one of the best players in the world, and they're just like, let's get rid of him.
Is basketball, like, I don't know. You're a football fan too, so we could talk about is football rigged. But is basketball, like, there's something weird about basketball. It just seems like...
Yeah, I think just the ability to build these super teams, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but even like that, like trading the best player in the world for like a bag of basketball seems weird to me.
So I don't want to get into a whole sports talk, but I think there's something to do with his contract.
Yeah.
There's something called the Supermax contract, which is basically you can make the most money humanly possible to play basketball. And I think they're like, we can't have this. We've got like all these other great players on our team who also want to make a lot of money too.
Yeah. The numbers, like, I know it's always been like people are amazed at how much athletes make, but it's gotten to the point where I don't know how the numbers work anymore, because I'm like, how much money are these teams winning or making? And like football is a good example. I was Googling, so Tom Brady makes, like, as an analyst or as a commentator, he makes $37 million a year, and it's a 10-year contract. I'm guessing it's guaranteed. Yeah. So that's over like $350 million. Yeah. And that's just one person. I'm like, how much money is available in this league? Like, that's insane, you know?
That's crazy. Yeah. And all these players are brands, right? Like, like, you know, LeBron James was making like $70 million before he even started in the NBA, because Nike's just like, this guy's going to crush it. Yeah. We'll just give him 70, was it 17 or 70? I can't remember. $1 million to wear Nike. Insane. And like, he could have been a complete bust.
And they would have been like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And now 20 years in the league later, he's like, I think he's like 40, 41 or something like that. He's like scoring, I think he scored like 43 points last night.
And his son plays, right?
Yeah. On the same team.
Is his son... So all I hear is all like the shit talk in like all these sports, because I don't follow basketball enough. But I heard somewhere that his son's terrible. Is that true?
Not terrible, but he's not.
Is he an NBA
player? Like he's an NBA player. He's just not. Yeah, he's not on the starting lineup or anything like that. Right. And nor should he be, because he just went to he just got to the NBA. He's a rookie.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Okay, so. I'm going to put you on the spot, but just in a fun way. Okay, so I want you to, you like music, so what's one song I should add to my playlist?
Oh.
And it can't be Celine Dion. I celebrate her entire catalog already.
Yeah, that's true. I figured. Yeah, I saw your record collection over there. Yeah. You were playing Kendrick Lamar earlier. I'm a huge Kendrick
Only
fan.
Because you were coming in.
Really?
I'll be honest with you. Yeah.
What?
I'm like, I'm going to put that on Spotify.
How did you know?
Because you had it on your...
Oh, did I?
Yeah. You're like, everyone likes this, obviously. I'm like, obviously, so I just put it on.
Yeah, no, I love Kendrick. There's an artist right now, so he's a electronic artist, really good musician. His name's Fred again. His mentor is Brian Eno, who kind of produced the Radiohead albums.
Oh, okay.
And he does a lot of great stuff. I would recommend... he's got like a tiny desk concert where he's just like wearing earbuds and then using the desk and looping like drum beats that he's making on the literal desk.
That's insane.
It's pretty crazy. So he's somebody to look at right now.
Okay.
He's selling out arenas and
Fred
festivals.
again?
Fred again. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then, what's a book I need to add to my bookshelf?
That's funny. You asked this question in the pre-interview notes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't necessarily read a lot of books.
It could be an audiobook too, because you said you use an app, right?
Yeah.
For, it kind of gives you the Coles Notes. Are you too young to know what Coles Notes are?
No, I know Coles Notes. I'm 41, man.
Okay, well, whatever.
I use this app called Blinkist.
Yeah.
And it's great for books like business books or even, self-help books, relationship books, because they summarize all the key points.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know what? This is probably a topic that I'm, kind of like something that I'm passionate about. So one of my hobbies is actually listening to, let's say, a relationship book, for instance. Mm-hmm. And, if you were to listen to the whole book or read the book, they'll give you these anecdotes about these people who you may not relate to at all or can connect with. Let's say, Brad lived in, Vermont in a $5 million house with his parents and had a swimming pool. But the one thing that he can't do is X, whatever. So what's great about Blinkist is they'll summarize the key concepts of certain topics.
Right.
And then I'll write it down on a piece of paper or on my laptop or whatever. And then I'll just Google the topic to become a bit more of not an expert in it, but to learn a bit more about it.
Right.
So I love using Blinkist for that type of stuff. Just because, I don't know, I don't have a lot of time to just read, to be honest.
No, and you're right. Like, there's a lot of self-help book type books where you kind of just like, okay, a lot of this didn't need to be here. Like, it's like, okay, they needed to be X amount of pages. You know what I mean? And you kind of get the sense that. So actually, I'm going to look at that app. I was so last week I had Brian on. And
Brian Eno?
Brian Thiessen.
Oh.
Perhaps Calgary's next mayor.
Yeah.
But he recommended, so I was going on a road trip, so he recommended a book. It's called it's a fictional book called Shemitari or something like that. I'm butchering the name, I know I am, but it was 35 hours long.
Oh.
Yeah. And
gosh.
so I still have I went on a giant road trip. I went from here to Regina to a town called Estevan. Yeah. Back to Regina, and then from there drove to Panorama, which is in BC. Yeah. So I was 12 hours, and then back to Calgary, and I still had 16 hours of this book left. I'm like, holy shit, this better be good. That's funny. But so I love audiobooks, but I think that's a great way to kind of to get them is hey, what's the let's get to the gist of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And these are non-fiction books, right? Yeah. So I don't need the storytelling aspect of it. Just tell me.
No, I like that.
Yeah, tell me the concept.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
and
I'm honored. You had somebody who's intentionally going to run for mayor, and then you got me. Yeah. So I'm honored to be here.
No, but what I love about getting to connect with people like you, and obviously I have to thank Peter for the connection, is like I said, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I really like the fact that I get to meet a lot of entrepreneurs. I want people to have long, successful careers, and knowing, someone like yourself talking about how you implement habits into your life to kind of curate the lifestyle that you want to live, but also being mindful of how are you going to live a healthy life, right? Yeah. So, showing up for yourself in the morning by going to the gym, being grateful for, and consciously writing those things down. There are little things that if people can incorporate those into their life, it makes a really big difference, Yeah. So talking to people like yourself who are successful entrepreneurs, because to your point earlier, a $2.5 million deal, that's great. It is a success for sure. And I want that for everybody. Yeah. But to have the daily success and the daily positive habits, it's going to make the experience all worthwhile, right?
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah.
With you.
So
yeah.
No, I appreciate you coming on. And look, I made a lot of notes. I got to Google a lot of shit when you go now. Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.